Post 1, am I the jerk for escalating when HR targeted my coworker? I am a male in my early 30s, lead tech on a heavy equipment floor where most of my day is torque specs, diagnostics, and wiping hydraulic fluid off things that should not have hydraulic fluid on them. Our place runs on coffee, parts bins, and a whiteboard with rude drawings that Harlan the shop boss erases every morning without looking directly at it. The crew is mostly male and pretty normal about it. Good at their jobs, grumble at paperwork, say please to the forklift. We just want machines to pass load tests and our time cards to add up. 3 months ago, corporate sent a new HR lead named Kendra to refresh culture. Posters went up about respect and values. A lunch and learn series showed up with slides about psychological safety. There was a pronoun badge rollout. Most of the guys grabbed one, clipped it to a pocket, and then forgot it on a welding table for 2 days. Nobody was rude. We were also very careful not to be the joke that HR expected. We used the right names. We tried, just in our greasy, practical way. 2 weeks later, a new tech arrived. Leo, early 30s, transferred from our sister plant out west. CNC whisperer. He walked in with a clean toolbox, a sharp mind, and a quiet manner that makes you trust him near expensive parts. From day one, Kendra welcomed him like a VIP guest. Special coffee mug with his name, a laminated welcome sign on his bench, extra check-ins that felt less about onboarding and more about building a highlight reel. It was friendly at first, then it got a tiny bit weird. I am not saying Kendra cannot like a person, people like people, but she started timing her floor walks to when Leo was between tasks. She brought him protein bars because you look like you would appreciate clean fuel. She told him she admired his vibe. Leo was polite and said thanks, then went back to the lathe. He is here to work. He keeps boundaries like a pro. If he wore a badge for quiet, it would say quiet. There was a Saturday community volunteering event that Kendra pitched hard. Leo said he had family plans. Monday morning he came in, clocked in, and got pulled aside for a time card missync. The system showed he was late by 11 minutes. That is odd because the gate camera shows his truck in before 7. He brought it up. Kendra said the software is the software, and that accountability matters. He signed the write-up because it was easier than arguing. He looked at me while he signed, and his face said, "Is it me, or is this off?" That whole week, small things stacked up. Kendra pinged only Leo about a hard hat on a bench while 3 of us were standing there hatless next to it. She corrected Leo on a break that went 4 minutes long while 2 other guys kept playing washer toss. She scheduled a coffee chat with him at 6 a.m. in the break room and then posted a reminder to the crew Slack that said leadership values forthright dialogue. Leo did not go. He does not owe anyone a sunrise date. Tuesday afternoon, our shift got an email for a surprise respect workshop that only applied to our bay. Scuttlebutt said it was triggered by tone concerns. The only tone I heard that week was the one in our torquing wrenches. I am not Leo's keeper. I am also not blind. I told him to document everything. Swipe times, camera times, who saw what, who said what. Write it like a shop log. He nodded and started a folder. I asked it casually if we could check whether time edits were system or manual. The guy in IT said there are audit trails on everything because the time clock vendor lives to cover itself. He looked. The late swipe was not a missync. It was a manual change at 9:11 a.m. The user ID on the change belonged to HR. I decided I did not want to be a hero in a movie about a shop that ignored a problem. I sent a short email to Kendra and CC'd Harlan and Rita, the union steward. I wrote, "Please CC shop leadership on any corrective actions for Shift B so we can align on coaching and documentation." I kept it calm. No accusations. Just shine a light. Kendra popped by my bench with a smile you can hear from the hallway. She said she was thrilled to see men in the shop stepping into allyship. She also said I should schedule a one-on-one coaching with her to talk about my role in culture. I asked if Rita could sit in as a witness. The smile flickered. She said witnesses can make dialogue harder. I said witnesses make everything easier later. She scheduled it anyway and sent a calendar invite titled Culture Champions. I laughed into my rag and then accepted. Next morning, Leo found a sticky on his toolbox that said, "PPE audit, see me." Rita asked him what exactly was being audited. He said the note did not say. We pulled our own footage from safety. Dev from safety watched the clip of the hard hat incident, paused and said, that hat was on your head. He screenshotted it. We added it to the folder. I know this all sounds small. In a place like ours, small stuff is the thread you pull. It tells you if the big thing is fake too. Later that day, Harlan did his version of caring. He grunted and said, keep the shop out of HR's hobby projects. He hates paperwork. I get it. But pressure is pressure. If the person with the clipboard decides your tone is a problem because you did not go to their 6 a.m. coffee, your parts do not pass fast enough to save you. I do not hate HR. I like steady pay and safe shops. I will even wear a respect poster if it keeps gloves on hands. I just do not like seeing attention turn into punishment because a man stayed polite but uninterested. Leo does not owe anyone a smile beyond hello. He owes torque specs. He is paying those in full. So now we are here. I told Leo to document. I asked that HRCC shop leadership on write-ups so this does not become a private theater. Kendra replied with a coaching invite and a respect workshop that looks like it was written for us and only us. It feels like the kind of thing that ends with a performance memo if we blink. I am trying to be measured and not turn this into a campfire story about evil HR. Also, I can see a pattern that I do not like. Am I the jerk for telling Leo to document everything and for emailing HR to CC our shop leads on any corrective actions, even though it might make Kendra feel like we do not trust her process? Comment 1. Not the jerk. Swipe edits, PPE nitpicks, and single shift workshops are exactly why you CC leadership. Keep Rita in the loop. Ask IET for the audit trail on the time change. Comment 2. You are making drama where there is none. HR is just trying to improve culture. If Leo has nothing to hide, a workshop will not hurt. Update 1. Kendra rolled into Monday like a parade marshal. New poster on the break room wall about kindness. New sign-up sheet for a Respect in High Performance Teams workshop. Small font under the title, Mandatory for Shift B only. That is Leo's shift. Also mine. Shift A, where Kendra never walks, somehow needed no kindness at all. I tried not to make a face. It made a face anyway. Rita the steward stood next to me, reading the same flyer. She tapped the small print with a fingernail and said, targeted training needs cause. Where is the cause? I said I could list exactly one cause, and he just clocked in. At 10 a.m., Kendra did a floor walk that looked like a tour for an invisible camera. She stopped at Leo's bench and perched on the edge like she was about to host a daytime show called CNC Friends. Quick coffee chat at 6 tomorrow, she said, pen hovering over her planner. We should align on your growth. Leo said, polite as a church usher. My mornings are spoken for. She wrote something anyway. When she walked away, he exhaled like someone who had put down a bucket. We went back to work. The workshop happened at noon in the break room. Slides about tone, a role play where someone says, please keep your voice down, and the other person says, I am simply passionate. Rita watched like a referee. Kendra kept calling on Leo for examples. Leo gave good ones. When a machine is out of spec, I report it. That is not negativity. Everyone nodded because this is how men in our shop clap. Quiet, then wrench. Afterwards, Dev from safety brought by a PPE checklist with Leo's name circled in red for inconsistent hard hat use. Dev looked annoyed. I did not write this, he said. Also, your hat was on your head at 8:12. I have video. We watched the clip together. Hat, check. Gloves, check. Earplugs visible. Dev printed a still and signed it. We added it to the folder Leo and I started. Paper is not exciting. It is how you win in boring places like timekeeping and policy. Kendra sent me a calendar invite for the coaching she brought up last week. The title said Culture Champions. I wrote back, happy to meet with Rita present. She replied, let us keep this intimate. I replied, let us keep it documented. I CC'd Rita. The meeting moved to Teams and became optional. Harlan walked by, saw the invite on my screen and said, if a meeting is optional, it is optional. That is Harlan's law. I love Harlan's law. By late afternoon, Leo's time card showed a late swipe again. He looked at me, then at the clock, Then at the gate camera feed on Dev's screen. Truck in at 6:53. Time card says 7:11. We walked to IT. The same engineer pulled the audit. Manual change, he said. This user. The user was HR. He sent the screenshot to me and to Rita with a subject line that made me laugh in a way that did not sound like joy. Human hands. Rita said the words I was waiting to hear. We file. Leo said he did not want to be a problem. Rita said, you are not a problem. A problem is a person with a pen and no brakes. She opened a blank complaint form and started typing. I filled in dates, times, badge failures, and who was standing where. Dev added the PPE still. ET attached the audit. We logged the mandatory workshop that applied only to us with zero written cause. We sent the packet to corporate HR, not site HR. Kendra got a CC because I want sunlight on everything now. 30 minutes later, Kendra appeared at Leo's bench with a clipboard and a smile that had edges. Friendly reminder, she said. This type of escalation can chill culture. You could have come to me. Leo nodded like a man who has chosen no more extra words for the day. Kendra pivoted to me. Let us do our coaching now, she said. We can keep it casual. I said, with Rita present. She said, I feel sad that you do not trust me. I said nothing, because I am not here to manage emotions. She scheduled a one-on-one anyway and wrote tone in the subject. At 3, Harlan grunted in my direction. Keep it off my clipboard, he said again, but then he did something that counted. He emailed corporate HR and wrote, all corrective actions for Shift B must be cleared through me and Steward. Too many surprises. It was one sentence. It was the exact sentence you write when you hate paperwork and still take care of your people. That night, Leo texted me a photo of his driveway. A cat sat on his hood like a gargoyle. Caption, only visitor I like. I sent back a photo of my toolbox with a sticky note that said, believe logs. This is my version of being a friend. Help a man build a stack of facts. Buy him a burrito. Laugh once a week so the shop does not turn into a courtroom. Tuesday morning at 6, Kendra sat in the break room looking at her phone. At 6:15, she wrote on a pad. At 6:20, she walked to the floor and handed Leo a coaching missed note. He looked at Dev's camera feed showing him in the building at 5:58 and then at the note. He did not sign. He said, please email me. Kendra said, do you prefer email because it gives you time to draft a story? Rita walked up, smiled like a shark in a cardigan and said, we prefer email because it draws a picture with dates. By midday, a new notice went up about break times and PPE, again only for Shift B. I asked Dev how many PPE notes he had written on Shift A in the last month. He said 0. He also said, if I write one, it will be for someone not wearing earplugs while standing under a poster about respect. We nodded. We went back to Torque. Corporate HR sent a short message at 2 p.m., acknowledging receipt of the complaint and asking for permission to pull badge logs, time edits, and CCTV stills. Kendra sent a Slack to the floor that said, rumors hurt culture. If you have concerns, bring them to me. 3 people looked at me. I looked at the whiteboard and wrote that day's targets, the ones machines respect, and we hit them. I am trying to stay on the line between being a decent coworker and being the man who picks a fight with a binder. I do not want to turn every sandwich into evidence. I also do not want to look Leo in the eye in 6 months and say, yeah, I saw it and I did nothing. The shop is not a feelings lab. It is a place where torque is torque and time is time. If your pen can change time after the gate camera says otherwise, your pen needs a shorter leash. Am I the jerk for helping Leo file a formal complaint, asking that all corrective actions be CC'd to leadership, and refusing to attend a one-on-one coaching with Kendra without a witness, even if that makes me look uncooperative in a culture push? Comment 1. Not the jerk. Manual time edits, targeted workshops, and selective PPE notes are textbook reasons to escalate above site HR. Keep Rita, IT, and safety in every thread. Comment 2. This is exactly how HR loses trust. You asked for sunlight, not a cage match. Document, keep it boring, and let corporate pull the logs. Update 2. The week after we sent the packet to corporate HR, the air felt like it does when a storm misses your street by 1 block. The shop hummed. Kendra smiled far too brightly. A memo appeared in inboxes titled, "Concern about team tone." It praised productivity, then pivoted into vague sentences about negativity and collaboration issues. It ended with a soft request for signatures. Two juniors on our shift signed because they thought it was just a receipt. Everyone else looked at Rita. She read it, snorted once, and said, "A concern with no dates is gossip in a tie." At 10, Leo got a calendar invite titled Performance Improvement Plan Kickoff. The subject line said collaboration. The body cited four things we could disprove with timestamps. Targeted PPE reminder. Surprise respect workshop for one shift. Missed coffee at dawn. Late swipe that IT had already labeled human hands. Leo looked at the screen like it had just told a joke badly. He is not a dramatic man. He clicked tentative and sent one sentence. Please include union steward and shop supervisor. The invite changed to optional. The time moved. Then a fresh invite landed for the same hour, but in a room across the building. The description said, smaller group for comfort. While that circus tried to set up its tent, Leo submitted a request for a 2-day training on the new 3-axis lathe. He included a return on investment note because he is thoughtful like that. 1 hour later, the request came back denied for budget reasons. 30 minutes after that, Kendra posted a flyer for a team-building ropes course out by the highway with a per-head cost that could have sent 3 people to lathe school. I am not allergic to trust falls. I just prefer trusting the people who can thread a spindle without dropping it. I set up a shared folder in the shop's internal drive and named it Proof. Dev from Safety dropped in the still of Leo wearing every piece of PPE like a catalog model. ET added the audit on the time edit with the user ID that belongs to HR. Harlan forwarded his sentence from last week about clearing every corrective action through him and Rita. Rita uploaded the complaint receipt from corporate HR. Leo, man of few keystrokes, uploaded a photo of his dash clock in sync with the gate camera timestamp. The folder looked like a tidy little house with receipts for every appliance. Around lunch, Kendra did another lap. She parked at Leo's bench and asked a string of questions that sounded like compliments. How are you feeling? How can we support your growth? Do you feel seen? Leo said he felt focused. He asked for training again. Kendra smiled like a store display. She said we will revisit after the ropes course. She turned to me and said my coaching was at 3. I said, with Rita. She said, I worry witnesses can add adversarial energy. I said, I worry no witnesses can add missing paragraphs later. Rita materialized like a helpful ghost and brought a legal pad. The coaching was a monologue with a picture of my face on the cover. Kendra talked about culture. She used the word ally 3 times in the word tone 4. She slid over a page with goals for me to sign. I read the first line. Model warmth by engaging in early morning optional coffees. I slid it back. I will not sign a plan that evaluates me on coffee. She said this attitude chilled culture. Rita asked for the policy that makes sunrise beverages part of performance. Kendra said we were being difficult. Rita said we were being precise. Harlan opened the door, looked at our faces and said, if they are not paying us to drink, we are not drinking on the clock. Then he left because Harlan is a gift. At 2, an email landed titled, Thank you for your feedback. It was from corporate HR. They were pulling badge logs, time edits, and CCTV stills. They appreciated our cooperation. They did not promise outcomes. They promised a review. It was enough to lower my shoulders from my ears for the first time in days. Kendra posted on Slack that rumors harm culture and asked people to bring concerns directly to her. 3 guys looked at the floor. Someone started the forklift. Life resumed its regular volume. In the background, small things continued to announce themselves as not small. A pallet showed up with our new cutting fluid, and Kendra wrote Leo up for not scanning it fast enough. He had not been assigned receiving that day. A vendor arrived with a part we needed yesterday, and Kendra intercepted the driver to ask whether he noticed negativity on our floor. The man said he was a driver, not a therapist, and left. We laughed for a minute, a tired kind of laugh that lets air into a tight room. That night, Leo and I sat in the break room with burritos. He said he felt like he had been cast in a show he did not audition for. I said the plot was bad, but we had better props. He asked what to do if the PIP comes back with a nicer font. I said then we print it, smile, and add it to proof. The point is not to fight in the hallway. The point is to show up with dates and pictures when someone with a clipboard writes a story with blanks. Dev walked in and asked if we were ready for the ropes course. We all said no in 3 different languages of humor. Then he handed Leo a small box. Inside was a pair of better earplugs. "Since you are always wearing them," Dev said. Leo smiled for the first time that day. It was a small smile. It looked like a person trusting a room again. 10 seconds later, he tucked it away and went back to the lathe. The concern memo did not gain traction. Most people did not sign. The PIP did not happen that day. The ropes course flyer stayed taped to the break room fridge under a magnet shaped like a wrench. Kendra stopped saying 6 a.m. coffee and started saying ongoing dialogue. She did not stop writing notes. We did not stop writing ours. Comment 1. Great move on the shared proof folder. Manual edits, targeted workshops, denied training against a ropes course, and PIP language with no dates are classic tells. Keep union and corporate HR in every email. Comment 2. You are handling this with precision. The folder, the audit, and witnesses will beat vibes. Decline any PIP meeting without steward and supervisor present. Training denial versus event spend is a clean comparison for finance later. Update 3. Thursday started nice. Cool morning, machines cooperating, coffee that did not taste like a tire. At 6:50, Leo texted me, "Parking lot." I walked out. Kendra was out there with a tote bag and a smile that asked me to forget other days existed. She stood too close to Leo's truck and said, "We would be a great team if you met me halfway." She talked about energy and vision and how she felt seen by his quiet. Leo looked at a spot on the asphalt and said, "I am not interested." He said it like a person reading torque numbers. Kind, exact, not ambiguous. Kendra blinked like someone had turned off a light and walked away. At 7:03, Leo's badge failed. He stood at the turnstile and waved it like a magic trick that refused to work. Security buzzed him in. 10 minutes later, his toolbox got a surprise inspection for safety. Dev from safety did not request it. Kendra stood nearby with a clipboard and checked off items. Rag and drawer, check. Tool accountability, check. A frown at a missing Torx bit that has been out of stock for weeks. Leo stood with his hands at his sides and said nothing because he understands that sometimes the best sentence is none. We went to IT. Badge role had been downgraded to visitor and then back again within 15 minutes. The change came from the site HR admin group. The engineer printed the log and said, "This is what you mean by human hands." We added it to proof. Rita walked past, read the printout upside down and said, "We are done being polite," which is Rita for calling corporate HR. Before lunch, a new invite landed for a coaching meeting with no subject. Rita forwarded it to corporate HR with one line. Site HR is scheduling closed-door sessions with employees who have active complaints. Please advise. Corporate replied with something I have never seen in our inboxes. Hold on all personnel changes and closed-door sessions for name parties. All edits to time, pay, or access must be approved by corporate HR while review is pending. It felt like someone closed a valve on a leaking pipe. Harlan signed a memo that said any PIP must cross his desk and Rita's. He also wrote, "No more optional sunrise coffees counted as performance." It was petty and perfect. He taped it next to the pronoun badge dispenser, which now lives above the earplug bin and gets more traffic for both as a result. The floor chuckled and went back to work. A small piece grew in the space where 6 a.m. used to loom. In the afternoon, corporate HR asked IT to pull device logs from the week the first time edit happened. The engineer traced a password reset token issued to Leo after a meeting that Kendra had scheduled to help him fix access. That token was used to view his profile and pull time details at 9:11 a.m. The user was the site HR admin account. The device name matched Kendra's laptop. The engineer whistled through his teeth and said, "You do not always get a line that straight." He sent the report to corporate and to legal. He sent a copy to Rita. We put it in proof. The folder had started as a small, neat box. It now felt like a tool chest with layers. Late day, Kendra walked up with a boxed set of rope course wristbands. She said attendance would be a great look. Leo said he would be training on the 3-axis lathe if approved. Kendra said budget still constrained us. Rita coughed the word optics. Kendra said we were not being team players. Harlan appeared behind her like a weather system and asked one question. How much is the ropes course? She told him. He asked how much the lathe training was. She told him. He looked at me and said, I like math that buys parts. Then he sent an email to finance that could have been framed. Approve lathe training, cancel ropes course. Money goes to things that cut metal. At checkout, Leo's time card showed on time. No edits. His badge worked everywhere. Kendra left early. Dev found me and said corporate HR was on site the next day. He had been told to preserve camera footage and not to chat about it. We nodded. We did not chat. We cleaned our stations like the shop version of a suit and tie. I went home and told my ceiling I was tired. Then I told myself this is what boring victory looks like. It is not a speech, it is a memo signed by a man who likes parts more than posters. It is a badge that turns green. It is a time card that stops changing after the gate has already spoken. I hope the story ends with a door that swings and a new HR person who likes forms more than feelings. I am not anti-feeling. I am pro-torque and schedules that match reality. The next day would be the day the pen met the logs in a conference room. I slept like someone who had stacked all his tools on the charger and checked every battery. Leo texted me a thumbs up emoji with a cat photo. I sent back a photo of the proof folder icon. It looked like a tiny cardboard box. It held the shape of a spine. Comment 1, badge downgrade tied to HR admin, surprise toolbox inspections, and a hold on personnel changes during review are all strong. That token log is gold. Stay in writing, let corporate run. Comment 2, chef's kiss on Harlan's memo in finance redirect. Keep proof tidy. Ask corporate to confirm retaliation prevention in writing. You are doing this exactly right. Update 4. Corporate HR did not send a calendar invite. They showed up at 9 with 2 laptops, a manager from legal, and the kind of calm that precedes paperwork. They parked in the small conference room beside the stock cage. Kendra walked past the door twice and then sat at her desk, very straight. Dev carried in a stack of CCTV stills, labeled and dated. It rolled a cart with a printer. Rita sat with a legal pad, smiled politely, and did not blink for 60 minutes. They interviewed Leo first. He is not a speech giver. He handed over the folder structure and let the receipts breathe. Badge downgrade at 7:03. Toolbox inspection that Dev did not request. Time edits tied to HR admin. Dawn coffees that grew teeth. A PIP invite that moved rooms. A training denial on the same day a ropes course went up. He did not speculate. He said dates and who saw them. The room liked that. You could feel it. They talked to me next. I said I had asked that corrective actions be CC'd to leadership because accountability is steady when more than one person can see. I said shift-only workshops need a cause on paper. I said I do not object to posters or pronoun badges. I object to turning culture into a hobby when the hobby becomes a lever on a person who said no to something that is not part of his job. The legal manager asked me to repeat the phrase, pen with no breaks. I smiled once and gave it back to him with context. They took the lathe training versus ropes course comparison to finance and came back 5 minutes later with an answer that felt like a gasket seating. Training approved, event canceled. Corporate HR asked IT to print the token log that matched the first-time edit. They asked to pull the raw web submission for the concern memo that had been framed as organic. The log showed edits from Kendra's account. The memo template had been created in her drive. The 2 juniors who signed told corporate that they were told it was a receipt for a lunch. Corporate thanked them, then asked if anyone had felt pressured. One said yes. One looked at his shoes and said he did not know. Rita wrote their names down to check on them later. At noon, Kendra was called into the conference room. The door closed. I am not a man who listens at doors. The shop hummed. Harlan approved 2 overtime slips with his habitual grunt. Dev replaced a safety poster that had fallen. Someone brought in a box of donuts that tasted like sugar in relief. At 1, the door opened. Kendra walked to her desk, put 3 things in her tote, and left with an escort. The poster that said, "Respect is everyone's job," came down quietly. A new sheet went up that said, in boring font, "Personnel changes require corporate approval during review." It made me feel safer than any slideshow. An email landed at 2 from corporate HR. Site HR leadership is on leave pending further review. All PIPs originating in the past 30 days are void. All time edits are locked pending audit. Staff are reminded to route concerns through supervisors and union representation. Training budgets will be prioritized against production needs. In the reply chain, legal attached a short note about retaliation. The words were dry and kind. They said, do not even think about it, but professionally. At 3, Leo's lathe training confirmation arrived with a start date and a calendar hold. He looked at the screen as if it had given him back a tool he had been missing. He said thanks to no one in particular. Harlan said, bring back tricks. Rita said, bring back receipts. Dev said, bring back earplugs if they have a good brand. We laughed because the floor needed it. The ropes course venue sent an invoice that finance rejected with 3 sentences that would make a good cross-stitch. Event canceled. Funds reallocated to training. Please remove us from marketing lists. I printed it and stuck it in the proof folder because sometimes you keep the nice ones too. By quitting time, the air felt ordinary. We put away tools. We wiped down benches. I turned and saw the pronoun badge dispenser above the earplug bin and the new notice about corporate approvals. 2 guys grabbed earplugs and grabbed badges and went back to work. The world did not end. It just got dull in the right places. I am not claiming victory like a movie. I am saying the logs talk louder than vibes. The union and a supervisor drew a line, and corporate did the job that makes posters worth anything. Kendra is gone. We did not dance. We went home, which is the best end to a shift I know. Comment 1. This is how it should go. Logs, union, supervisor, corporate, and legal. Training over ropes course is chef's kiss. Keep an eye on the juniors who were leaned on for the memo. Comment 2. Felt that line about the badge turning green. Keep the proof folder backed up. Ask corporate for a written statement voiding any notes placed in Leo's file. Beautiful work keeping this boring. Final update, 10 months later. 10 months is long enough for a floor to forget the sound of suitcase meetings and remember the sound of normal. Leo finished the 3-axis training, then passed the 4-axis module on his own time because he is the kind of person who solves puzzles for dessert. He is now the lead on the new CNC line. He still speaks in exact sentences. He still labels his drawers. The lathe sings when he is near it. We got a vendor to give a discount because he asked with numbers instead of adjectives. I got a raise for a preventive maintenance tracker I built in spreadsheets that Harlan pretends not to like and then quotes at meetings. The tracker cut our unplanned downtime in half. A small half, but enough to see. I wrote a 1-page doc on how to use it. Rita made me put my name on the footer. She said people should see who built the thing that keeps the lights on. Site HR has a new lead. Her name is Alina. She likes forms more than speeches. If she is in the break room at 6, it is because she runs early and needs coffee, not because my attendance makes her feel seen. She says please in emails and CCs supervisors when she opens a question. She approved 2 trainings and rejected 1 team event with a note that said, let us buy tools instead. The floor likes her because she does not want to be the show. Corporate kept 2 policies that matter to me. Anytime edit requires 2 approvals and a reason code. Any PIP requires a supervisor, a steward, and an example with dates. They also added a tiny line that might be my favorite sentence in the building. Optional social events are optional. It sits near the time clock. People read it, grin, and get on with their day. The old posters have gone to recycling heaven. New ones are plain text. Respect lives better on forms than on glossy paper. The pronoun badge dispenser still sits over the earplug bin. Guys grab both without ceremony. That little placement solved more compliance than any slideshow. I wish I could tell the person who did it that they nailed the logistics of dignity. Every now and then, the floor asks how Leo is doing with the cat. He says the cat still owns the hood of his truck and will accept exactly 3 pets before filing a complaint with gravity. He says this without smiling. Then he goes and fixes a program that has a bug so tiny it would have taken me a day to spot. I like working next to someone whose power is quiet. Kendra sent 2 messages after she left. One asked Leo to forgive her for being too passionate. He did not reply. One asked me to confirm rumors about a corporate blacklist. There is no list. There is a folder named Proof and a line in a policy that makes my chest feel open. Her tote bag walks around someone else's floor now. We wish that floor well. What stays with me is not patience or drama. It is the discipline of small, boring things that kept a man from being ejected for not wanting coffee in the dark. The badge clicked to green. The lathe training went through. Two juniors learned what a relief it is to tell the truth with a steward in the room. I learned that being decent at work sometimes means making a binder and choosing the right kind of humor. It lightens the room, then it leaves the room better than it found it. If you want one image, it is this. End of shift, floor swept, earplug bin full, pronoun badges in a tray that no one jokes about. A plain sign that says optional social events are optional. The maintenance board reads 0 for unscheduled today. Leo locks his toolbox, scratches the cat under the chin exactly 3 times in the parking lot, and drives off. I switch the time clock to green for the next shift. The shop exhales. Life goes on the way it should. Quiet, measured, with torque first and posters second. First and posters second. First and posters second.